Welcome to episode number 10 of the Steal in the Bag podcast right here on Fox Sports The Gambler. Go to foxphlgambler.com. Go to the podcast tab. There you will see us, the Stealing the Bag podcast. Also, you can follow us at Fox PHL Gambler on Twitter. Follow the YouTube channel. Big deal YouTube channel. Fox Sports The Gambler. Actually spelled all the way out. Not Fox PHL Gambler like we have it. Fox Sports The Gambler. All one word. That's where you can find us. And you can see some of these shorts, some of the shorts from the daily tickets, some videos from the line change, and also live streams that we're going to be doing, like the live stream for game number 3 for the Sixers and the Nets at Bankroll, which is going to be fantastic. Thursday, stream starts 7:30 for game 3. But this is the Steal in the Bag podcast, which you can listen to Monday through Friday right here on The Gambler. My name is John Jansen. You can follow me at jjansen34. Joining me is Jeremy Horwoth at jhorwoth11. Jeremy, I told you. Look out for them Cubbies. Them Cubbies might actually be good. They might actually be good.
They're looking really good. And when we were doing our season preview, we were going over the NL Central, and it's the Cubs' time. It just seems like it was going to be. They made a lot of additions in the offseason, and so far through these first 17 games, they are paying off so well. And the main part of it has been their hitting. We knew Dansby Swanson was going to be a great addition, giving him all of that money and him becoming that star player for the Cubs. He's showing out so far. Other guys, Cody Bellinger, who's been swept under the rug a little bit, he's batting over 280 with a couple homers and 12 RBIs. He's playing well enough right now. Bats are picking it up, and the pitching behind it has been doing – they're doing enough. Nothing fantastic, but they're not pitching bad.
A couple standouts, but
but
nothing,
they
nothing
just
too crazy.
Overall, this team has just been playing really well. They're coming off of now a sweep over the A's. They were going up yesterday. I know we're going to talk about our bets from the day before, but coming off of a really great game as of last night or today, winning 12-2. This team looks really good. They're on a hot streak, and I hope it continues because they're exciting.
Yeah, they are. And this is the kind of team that does kind of come out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
They get a guy like Cody Bellinger. They get Dansby Swanson, who I don't think he was one of the marquee offseason acquisitions, but he wasn't the big offseason acquisition.
Right.
Really, I think the Phillies stole the show with that one with Trey Turner. But Dansby Swanson kind of gets lost in the shadows a little bit of that Trey Turner deal and some of the other big ones.
Yeah, Xander Bogaerts too. He was known as the third best shortstop.
Yeah, right.
That's
exactly.
Crazy.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So they get Dansby Swanson. They get Cody Bellinger, who really was just, I guess, buy low. If he can find some kind of rhythm in Chicago, then he could be great. And then obviously, what is Seiya Suzuki going to be like in his second year? And also Patrick Wisdom. The guy's just not shown anything. He's like 31 years old. And every single one of those guys I mentioned are doing extremely well. So Cody Bellinger has an OPS of over 800. His batting average is 284, Cody Bellinger. Mm-hmm. Cody Bellinger, who could barely get his average over 200, is at 284. And I know average isn't everything, but that's showing you that he at least is making better contact. He's at least putting ball in play. But to see his slugging back up to a 463 and his OPS to an 809, Cody Bellinger looks fantastic. Dansby Swanson has looked really good to start. 813 OPS. It could probably get even better. He started off very hot. But his numbers look good. He's hitting over 300. His slugging could probably get more room for improvement. It's only 381, and I know he can slug more than that. He doesn't have a home run yet. He doesn't have, like, crazy power, but he's got power, so that's gonna start going up a little bit more. But his on-base percentage is 432. Like, all of these numbers are great, but then here comes Seiya Suzuki, who did not make his debut this season until April 14th, and so a few games under his belt, and he already is on fire to start the season. So they have, and Patrick Wisdom, of course, has 8 home runs. So they have a bunch of guys that the kind of misfits, right? The kind of guys that get forgotten, the kind of guys that teams threw away that haven't been playing that well. Yeah. And look, Nico Hoerner's leading in hits, actually.
I'm happy you're saying that. His average is right near 800. Yeah, he's playing
Nick Madrigal has an OPS of over 800. The moving sides in Chicago.
Yeah.
And he seems to be getting this. And Trey Mancini's not giving him anything. And Trey Mancini could actually be pretty good. So it's a lot of guys, again, misfits, kind of cast aside, but seasons like this can happen with these guys. They happened before with them. They're happening now. This does have the making, to me, not of a team that could probably get the Central. I know the Brewers, I don't know how much they can keep their offense going the way that they are. But look, they still look great. And obviously the Cardinals, once they figure out whatever pitching problems that they have, and their starting pitching's been bad, but their lineup is tops in baseball. It's one of the
Yeah,
best.
they're
But
they're still gonna.
I don't think
Yeah,
anyone would have expected at any point into the season, even as many games we are in right now, that Chicago would be a top 5 lineup. And guess what? They are easily a top 5 lineup. Runs created plus their top 5. They're 6th in WOBA, which is right behind the Phillies. Obviously, they're slugging, and on OPS is way up there. When you have a bunch of guys, I mean, you look at it, it's almost to the bottom of the lineup. Jan Gomes is the first one that isn't an 800 or above OPS, and he has an OPS of 702, which is just falling like below average. So these guys are all doing great. And I think we're about to see some career years from these guys. So to me, the Cubs are in play for a wild card. It might not be all the NL East teams. It might be
yeah,
one of these Central teams that take the wild card. I thought it was just going to be the Cardinals taking it, and then the Cubs would take second spot. I still think that Milwaukee, it's not like Milwaukee is a big lead. Milwaukee can fall apart at some point because I think offensively they're going to run into some issues.
yeah. They're gonna
But
die down.
the Cubs are for real. That's
I
a
think so
team that's
too.
going to be, I think I said it in the offseason. I will say it now. That is a team that's going to make the playoffs.
I hope so. I really do, because there's always that team that just comes out of nowhere. And I know we've talked about it multiple times before, and obviously you never know who it's gonna be. But the Cubs, it's one that people should have seen coming. They did make really good moves. Like they showed how
They
like
made moves, which
they
is another thing.
made
They
moves.
absolutely were going out there to try and rebuild, and not rebuild in a way of, we gotta be bad and get good draft
Right.
picks and all
No.
that. No, they're trying to do this the right way because they know they have some decent young talent. They paid for talent, and it's all kind of coming together really well. They made smart
It is.
moves. Like Justin
Exactly. It was
Steele's a
smart
homegrown
moves.
guy. Like that's a great move. But getting Marcus Stroman in that starting rotation, there was a great move that everybody I don't think liked at first. Like, oh, Stroman's not that good, and
Yeah,
they
he's
probably
washed,
overpaid
or
him, and
yeah.
he's got to be the ace of that rotation now. But still, he's really good.
He's been
And so
really good so
the
far.
Cubs have gotten this kind of well-rounded team that I think surprises a lot of people, because none of those names I think are ones that you would say are like the analytics darlings, or guys that
Right.
even I would say, I love him. I mean, look at his numbers and OPS
Right.
numbers and all that, all those metrics we love to throw out there. The Cubs never had those guys, but I mean, there were some signs that they could be good.
Yeah.
And Cody Bellinger, I think we had an understanding that maybe it would be better because of the shift not being there. But he's good. Maybe he just needed a change of scenery, and things in with the Dodgers just kind of ran its course, and he needed to
Yeah.
leave. So
And he's also on a prove it deal. Like he has
yeah,
to play
exactly.
well this year.
But I just think it's a bunch of misfits and casticides that the Cubs found value in, and those teams do get rewarded
Yeah.
at times, and they are getting rewarded here.
It's just good GM play. They're doing a fantastic job over there in Chicago, and it's gonna keep up. I mean, that lineup, I think a lot of people should have seen it coming during the offseason. I know it's names that don't sound like crazy good, but it's a bunch of guys that have been good players, and it's like, okay, like we should at least be able to see the potential of this, and it was not talked about much at all.
No, it wasn't. Let's move on to our bet. Do you think the Cubs make the playoffs?
I do. I do think they will. They are under such a spark right now, and I don't really see it slowing down. I mean, maybe not Patrick Wisdom playing as well as he is, but all the other guys, they're consistent players, and now with all of them together, yeah, I have the Cubs making the playoffs.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of players that are just on their way to career years, which is
Yeah.
or close to previous career years that they had for a guy like Cody Bellinger. So yeah, I'm really excited about them. All right, moving on. Our plays from yesterday, we actually did pretty well. At least I did. I did get one loss. The Braves lost. The only one I don't know right now is the Orioles run line, but it does seem like they're getting really close. They've gotten a few hits off of Mackenzie Gore. So they need to get 5. They have 3 right now. I think they're going to get there because Washington bullpen is very
Bullpen
bad
is
as
so
well.
bad.
So I'm
they should
hoping
be
that
able to-
becomes a win, but I did get we both got Minnesota. Also get the Cubs run line as well at plus 105. So overall, not a bad day. Again, the one loser for me being the Braves, and still a TBD on the Orioles.
Yeah, I had the Twins. Right now, they're up 7-1 in the fifth inning. Corey Kluber, I will bet against him every single time that he is pitching. He let up 7 runs in the first 3 innings alone. Point taken. Other bet, it's going on right now. They're in the second inning. I had Astros money line over the Blue Jays. I saw right before the game. It was right before we started the show. They were at plus money. They were at plus 100 even. I got them at minus 110 as of last night, but we'll see what's going on there. Only a second inning, it's 0-0, but starting off 1-0 so far on the night.
Love it. Some other notable scores. The Tampa Bay Rays now moved to 16-3, 8-0 win. Giants win over the Marlins 5-2. Cardinals crush Bumgarner. Bumgarner's cooked. He's definitely done. And he's trying to like yap up Contreras. Like, buddy.
It's
Madison
Bumgarner's so relevant now.
And all he did was just walk Contreras right after that and still was calling him, a bunch of names and stuff. I'm like, okay, bud.
Do you know how old Bumgarner is, by the way? He's like that guy.
Like 34.
He's 33. I feel like that. I feel like he's supposed to be way older than that.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like 38. He's supposed to be Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer's age, but he's not. He has a bunch of miles on that arm. Even more than those guys, I would say. It's close to it because he pitched a lot in the postseason. And when I say a lot, it was like they went on deep postseason runs multiple times, but he would just not start. He would also come out of the bullpen a lot. He pitched a lot in the postseason. So, yeah, there's a lot of miles on that. Another one, really good game. Man, the Mariners, I don't know what to make of them because I love the lineup. And Rodriguez, an absolute tank yesterday off of Lauer. But it's just something's not clicking right. Starting pitching, Marco Gonzalez had a good game. Matt Brash, who, man, I love the stuff, but dude is getting absolutely crushed coming out of the bullpen. So, yeah, Seattle's one of those teams I love some of the makeup. It's just something's not quite coming together with them.
Yeah, Seattle's been that interesting one. They were the team in the offseason that I said don't get your hopes too high with them. Again, it's still early in the season. Things can flip around for them, but they're a team that should be really good, and they're coming off a season where it's really important for them to capitalize off of last year. And there's just been something going on with them. Pitching needs to figure some more stuff out. But Julio Rodriguez is such a good
Great
ball
player.
He's so fun to watch. I love J-Rod.
Yeah, and look, they made the right move. They have Luis Castillo, who's doing great. Marco Gonzalez came up with his best start and 3.78 ERA. He's doing fine. The only guy who's really struggling to a bad extent is Chris Flexen, and he's really not that bad. He has an ERA of over 7. He's not that bad. But even Logan Gilbert, 3.57, compared to a lot of guys in the majors so far, I think there's been a lot of adjustment with the pitch clock. So I feel like a lot of ERAs get inflated. And, of course, early in the season, so just a few runs can inflate your ERA. But they're doing solid. So it's just, I don't know, maybe a stroke of bad luck at times for the Mariners. But, guys are hitting somewhat well in that lineup. Julio Rodriguez, it could definitely be better with him, 790. But Kalenic, France, all doing well. Lineup certainly could be better, though, looking at some of those numbers. Yeah, it's just puzzling because Mariners, they look good when you watch them. And then somehow, man, how did they get into a 5-2 hole all of a sudden? And game kind of just got away from them. Mm-hmm. All right, so moving on to our bets for this Thursday slate. I will start first. So I have 2, and I have a good underdog one. Plus 135 for the Angels. So they're going up against the Yankees, and Nestor Cortez is on the mound. I'm playing here the splits, and that's all I'm playing. And Sandoval, really since the World Baseball Classic, dude's been good. Did well in the World Baseball Classic, starting off really well this season. I think he has the ERA, and his ERA is in the 1s. So yeah, Sandoval's doing very well, and I don't think it's that much of a pitching difference between him and Cortez. Sandoval's an ERA of 1.23 and Cortez at 2.60. What I'm playing here, though, is the split. So the Angels so far this season, they're probably one of, if not the best teams hitting left-handed pitching. So they're probably going to get a few off of Nestor Cortez. I think, again, the pitching matchup is about even. The thing is, the Yankees, their lineup's fine. They rank 22nd in runs created plus against lefties. They rank 23rd in WOBA. They are farther down the board you would think, and way farther down the board than you would think against left-handed pitching. So with the way Sandoval's pitching and the fact that he might actually have a favorable matchup, which is kind of weird to say about a Yankees lineup we know is very good, and that has a lot of good like right-handed power bats.
Right.
It's puzzling that the Yankees their runs created plus is 81. I mean, the standard is 100. They're well below that number.
Mm-hmm.
There's something is going wrong against left-handed pitching. So I'm just going to play that number and, again, play into the fact that I think Sandoval's just been doing so well. But that also has a little bit to do with the Angels. They should. I don't know how many runs off of Nestor Cortez, but I think this game could be tight. And the fact that you're going to give me plus 135 in a matchup I think that's closer, and a matchup that the numbers kind of favor Los Angeles a little bit, I think plus 135 is a great number.
Any positivity I can hear on the Angels is all that I want to hear. I know. I love it.
Angels fan.
My favorite bet, depending on what we see the team total at for the Phillies, right now the over is set at 9, which honestly I could see the Phillies doing on their own against Ryan Feltner. Right now he has an ERA of 8.78 over his first 3 starts. He's pitched 13 innings and has allowed 14 runs. He has been so bad. And they're going up against Matt Strahm and the Philadelphia Phillies. Strahm's been playing well so far. I know that. He's been the Phillies' best pitcher so far. I think he has to die down at some point. Matt Strahm, at the end of the day, is not a very, I don't want to say not a very good pitcher, but he isn't one of those top guys.
No, he's just going to pound the strike zone, and you just hope that they hit it towards somebody. And so far they are.
Yeah, and at some point, it's going to have to get slowed down for Matt Strahm. Right now, he has a 2.13 ERA. I know it looks crazy good right now, but he also has a FIP. It's up to 3. He's going to slow down a little bit. The Rockies have been able to hit a little bit, but we're going to decide on the team total whenever that does come out. It is not out yet. That's what I want to bet more towards. If it's going to be around the 4.5 or even 5.5 range is what I'd go up to with the Phillies. I think they can easily grab 6 off Feltner alone, and the Rockies bullpen is even worse than Feltner. So the Phillies are going to score a lot of runs, being the amazing lineup that they are already. But if the number isn't even great for that alone, I would still bet over 9 in the Phillies versus Rockies.
Yeah, I only have one more here, and it is minus 122. There's not really a ton of numbers to back this one up, other than the fact that the Mets are just winning games. So I think they're 12-7 this year, and the Giants are 6-11. So that's the only thing I got in this one. The Mets are doing well, and they're winning games, and the Giants are on this massive losing streak. But another part of it is Senga is kind of figuring things out a little bit. So he didn't have the greatest start against Oakland, 4 2/3, gave up 7 hits, walked 4 guys. His biggest problem really has just been walks. He has 10 walks in 16 innings, but he also has 21 strikeouts in those 16. He has some disappearing type stuff, and literally he calls it a ghost fork is his main pitch, is that strikeout pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I think Senga, the 3.38 ERA is fine. The 1.44 whip is not. But I think he is good, and so good that even as he's trying to figure out the majors, which we know can be tough for a lot of pitchers making the move from Japan over into the major leagues, but since he is still working through that well enough, I think he can do that against the Giants lineup that just isn't hitting anything. They've been really bad. Their pitching has been bad. Sean Manaea's on the mound. So I don't know if the Mets are going to hit him. Mets are average against left-handed hitters, literally like right at the 15 mark with a lot of numbers. So it's not like the Mets are doing anything crazy, but they're certainly a better lineup than the Giants, and Senga, I think maybe could put a really good performance. This might be one of his better games. I know he faced Miami, had 6 innings pitched, gave up 1 run, but had 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, like really good start there. And his first start against the Marlins, 5 1/3, gave up 3 hits, had 8 strikeouts in that game. So he's had some good starts. This one, I think, potentially could be his best one, though. I have high hopes for Senga, and I think he's learning that his ghost fork is an unhittable pitch. So minus 122 for the much better team. And I'm going to say, as of right now, even the much better pitcher, even though we have a small sample size with Senga, I like the Mets at that price.
I also have one more bet on the board, and it's one that is going on right now that both of us also have going on. Twins money line is at plus 105 for tomorrow, 1:30 game against the Red Sox. Game 3 looking like it's going to be a 1-1 series going into it. It's Kenta Maeda going up against Tanner Houck. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that name correctly. But regardless, right now these two pitchers are pitching very similar throughout this season so far. Maeda is at a 4.05 ERA. Tanner Houck is at a 4.5 ERA. Just very similar pitchers so far throughout the season. And right now, the Twins, it's more important to them in my eyes. The series before they went up against the Yankees, they lost the series 2-1. They cannot lose 2 series in a row, especially the 2 AL East teams. And the Red Sox are just plain out not a good team in my eyes. I'm not fully understanding why it's at plus money. I'm not understanding why they are such more of an underdog. But regardless, I'm gonna take it. The Twins need to win this one. They've been such a good ball club so far, and Kenta Maeda is, in my eyes, I still think he's a better pitcher than Tanner Houck. But it's a nice early day game. Get the Twins out of Boston, go back home after that, and just get a nice series win to end off the road trip.
Yeah, I'll give credit to Maeda because he hasn't pitched in a while. And so this season, I wasn't sure how he was going to start out. And he's been serviceable.
Yeah.
He could do well in this game. But I need to know I have a way better pitching matchup for the Twins just because I don't trust that lineup. Now, they do well against Kluber. That's Kluber.
That's
Anybody
Kluber.
does well against Kluber. But I need to have like Sonny Gray on the mound, Joe Ryan on the mound to bet the Twins. Like, I need to make sure the pitching matchup is right because that's how the Twins are winning. They're winning strictly, I think, because of pitching.
Right.
Their hitting is not anything spectacular at the moment.
Right.
So I like where your head is at, and the Twins can still win this game. I'm not saying it's a bad play. It's just why I looked at that number and I couldn't do it just because I need to make sure I have one of those top pitchers for the Twins because I just don't trust that lineup just enough yet.
I mean, honestly, the other 4 guys, I'd feel more confident. I mean, the fact that you can name off Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, now I'm like Pablo Lopez.
Yeah, Pablo Lopez. That's right. I was blanking on him too.
All of their pitchers are
those are the guys I'd love to bet on because their numbers are going to be too high because they're not ace level. I say that with air quotes, ace level pitchers, but all of those guys have been doing great. Joe Ryan and Sonny Gray right now, their win-loss records. And I know we don't go off of win-loss records a lot right now. I get that. But still, they're 5-0. And if you want to add in Pablo Lopez in there, they're 6-1. Those guys, Pablo Lopez, an ERA of 1.73. Sonny Gray, an ERA of 0.82. Joe Ryan, ERA of 2.84. The whips for Pablo Lopez, 0.81, 1.18 for Gray, and 0.63 for Ryan. Like, those are the guys I can bet on constantly because they're not going to be heavily priced because the Twins don't score enough, and they're going to get a decent enough price that they're worth betting on because they've just been dominating so far. So I like where your head is at because Maeda is actually not pitching that bad. It's like he's really not. He has a whip of 1. Right. He's not giving up a lot of walks or a lot of hits. He can give up some hard contact and obviously seems to be giving up some runs. And I imagine that's got to be probably through some home run balls. He's given up, 2, 5 earned runs, 11 hits. But I got to make sure I have one of those 3 guys when it comes to 100%. It's still not a bad bet because the Red Sox. But that is it for the Stealing the Bag podcast, episode number 10, foxbtogambler.com. Go to the podcast tab. That's where you can check out all the podcasts, including this one, Stealing the Bag. Also, Bankroll, live streaming from Bankroll for game number 3 between the Sixers and the Nets. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. Subscribe over there. I'm actually really happy for everyone who's already subscribed and all the views we already have on some of the videos and the shorts. But Fox Sports The Gambler. It's fully spelled out, Fox Sports The Gambler. And go subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can check out the live streams, but also our shorts as well and other videos that we will be putting up, including probably putting up Stealing the Bag podcast soon. We should be doing that. But that is it for Stealing the Bag. That is Jeremy Horwoth. You can follow him at jhorwoth11. You can follow me, John Jansen, at jjansen34. We'll be back with more tomorrow right here on The Gambler.